Welcome guys, here is my basic dress pattern. There's shoulder line, chest line, waistline, hip line, and then hemline. On the bust line, I did quarter of bust circumference, quarter of waist circumference on the waist, quarter of hip, and quarter of hip on the hem. I added 1 inch ease to all those measurements, and check out the back. I slanted my zipper too. So we're just going to move straight to measuring the armholes. So watch how I'm placing the tape to measure the armhole. So you measure the front armhole and you record what you have. I have about 11 3/4. I'll measure the back armhole as well, and I'll also record. That's about 11.5. I'm also going to measure the back neckline and front neckline. Okay, just pay attention to how I'm doing it. Please give this video a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. So right now I've added seam allowance to my dress. I'm going to be cutting out. So here is front and back. I'm going to set them aside. Moving to the sleeve, I'm going to measure and mark 6 inches and trim out. Why? Because I'm going to attach a flare to the hem of the sleeve. It's not going to be fitted all through. It's going to have a flare at the hem, and 2 other places I'll be showing you very soon. So I'm just going to cut out this excess. So I'll have one more flare at the top here, and then one more in the middle here, and one at the hem. So one, and on the hem. So to start, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches down from the cap line and rule a line. So that's the line. From that line, I'm going to measure another 4.5 inches for the second flare. I'll also rule that line. So you can see the lines with arrows, 1, 2, and the last flare on the hem. So to find the radius, I'll look for the radius of the longest line. So this is how to find a radius for a full circle. When you add the radius to the length of flare, in my case, the answer is 10. So I'll measure 10 on fabric and fold sideways. I'm also going to measure 10 from top to the bottom and fold, okay? I'll fold from top to bottom. I'm going to have a perfect square. Okay, so I'll trim out what I do not need. So from the apex, I'm going to measure the radius. Okay, see how I'm marking the radius to form a tiny arc, which is 3. I'm going to draw that arc. That's my radius. Then from the radius, I'm going to mark length of flare, which is 6 plus ½ inch seam allowance. So I'm marking 6.5. Okay. So watch me draw the bigger arc representing the hem of the flare. I'm going to add ½ inch on top of the radius and then cut out. Drafting a full circle is as simple as that. So here's my full circle. I'm going to open it in half. Okay, pick a side and cut open. So you're going to be cutting 6 pieces of this flare. These are the measurements for the bishop collar. Okay, so add back neckline to front neckline. That's the total. So I'm going to square out a line like this. From this line, I'm going to mark the back neckline. That's 3.5. I'm also going, then from 3.5, I'm going to mark the front neckline, which is 5 and 3/8. I'm going to mark 1.5 inch up. That's the height of the collar. I'll draw the line. I'm also going to do what I did down there. I'll measure the back neckline and the front neckline, and then I'll link them just like that. Okay, so on the front, I'm going to mark ½ inch up like that. With my curve, I'll blend it. Okay, you see that blend? And then I'm going to square up like this. So from the line I squared up, I'm going to mark ½ inch, and then with my curve, I'm going to blend it just like that. So right now I'm going to cut here on fold, and I'll be adding seam allowance all around as written. So I'm cutting out right now. To get the drape at the neck, multiply the neckline by 2. Okay, so that's about 14.25. Right now 14.25 times 3, because it's gathers, that's 42.75. so the length of that flare is 8 plus 1.5 inches, 9.5. So this is the idea. I'm going to cut out a piece of fabric. The width of the fabric is 42.75, and then the length of the fabric is 9.5. okay, so you can see I've cut out front on fabric. Okay, you can see front. This is also the back dress. Okay, and there is the bishop collar. I'm going to make notches where the front and the back meet, like so. And this is the drape, that flare at the neck that will be gathered, so I'll do a hem down there. And this is the sleeve. Okay, you can see those lines. So I'm going to make notches. Those lines I drew across, I'm making notches so that I can chalk out the lines. Chalking out the line helps the accuracy, okay, so that when I'm sewing the flare, I can sew the flare to the sleeve more accurately. So watch how I'm chalking it out from this notch point to the other notch point. So this line helps me attach my flare, okay, with more precision and with more accuracy. So I'm going to do that on both sleeves. And you can see the flares here. I have 6 of these. I've opened them up. Okay, so the flare is going to be attached to the sleeve in layers. So right now this is back bodice right side up. I'm going to take the front bodice and place it on the back bodice, right side facing right side, and sew the shoulder with 1/2 inch. Okay, so the shoulder is all done. Right now I'm going to take the flare and I'm going to run bias tape around the hem and inside the radius for 4 of the flares. Okay, and when I do that, I'm going to be stitching it to the sleeve. So when you want to stitch, don't stitch straight like this. Instead, flip it up this way and stitch it. Okay, stitch it this way so that it flips down. Okay, it's better that way, and it covers your seam allowance. So you can see the bias. I've just pinned this down to the sleeve. I'm going to go and sew this. I also want you to take notes. You can see this flare I'm stitching here, I did not add bias just like I did for the others. Okay, take note. So right now this is interfacing. I've cut for my bishop collar, and this is the drape. I folded it in 2. It's quite wide, so I'll be hemming here with 1 inch, and I'll be sewing my gathers up there. Okay, can you see hemmed and gathered nicely and beautifully? Use the width of the collar to judge your gathers. So right now I'm going to be sewing the collar right side facing right side at the top. Okay, you see I've sewn, top stitched, and ironed beautifully, 0.5 in like that. Use your iron to crease it. So right now I'm going to be attaching this flare around the neckline, so you can see the way I place the flare around the neckline. Okay, and I'm also going to pin the collar. I would also pin the collar. Okay, so the flare is going to be between the collar and the bodice. I'll sew around the neckline. You can see this nice and neat. So it's time to attach the sleeve to the dress. Okay, so I've attached the sleeve to the dress. You can see I've also attached this flare to the hem of the sleeve. I'm going to fold the sleeve this way and sew the sleeve and side seams. So right now I have pinned the dress to the mannequin. What's left for me to do is to fix a zipper and do the hem of the dress. So please like, share, subscribe, click on the notification bell, and stay tuned for future videos. Stay inspired.